earlier yesterday, and or late yesterday, not earlier yesterday. And it was a couple of just core questions that I asked just in relationship to just this. And it's a pretty simple question. But I was thinking more about it even after yesterday's meeting, and then I had a conversation with an agent, and it was this. Why are you here? Seems like a simple statement, but the question I asked was more to the brokers, but I also would say the same to any agent, and that is whether you're at a listing appointment, whether you're at a buyer appointment, looking and just at least evaluating at some level why you're here is a really important statement. And then I think I'll give you some of the answer, and that is what is your true intentions or intention, just in the sense of just being here, right? Just what are your intentions? What are your intentions? And let's just put like, what are your intentions with a buyer? What are your intentions with some type of a seller? And you start looking at that and wondering and saying, okay, what am I really intending to do? So the conversation was a lot about this, and it was about the fact that there's this spectrum of leadership that we often talk about, and then on one side is that there's this boldness, there's this place of speaking from authority, being very direct, and there's that angle of, if you would say, of life. And then there's the other side of this spectrum where people are more, let's just say they're sympathetic, they are patient, they're gentle, they're kind, and there's that side of the spectrum. And I can show you every great leader and every great story that's ever been written. I don't care if we're talking about the Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, the Abraham Lincolns, the Ronald Reagans, to Jesus, to you name it. It doesn't matter. Every story is some relationship to where you can look at each one of these individuals. Mother Teresa is one of my favorite ones to talk about. And they have this weaving and this ability to do both. And so sometimes we'll sit here and we'll go through the pragmatic activities of saying, okay, you need to speak as if you have authority. You need to speak more bold, more direct. Or maybe if someone's too direct and too authoritative and too bold, and they need to be a little more tactful, they say, well, you know what, you need to be more kind and gentle and patient. And yet, here's the deal. You meet people all the time where they may be on this side of the equation, so direct, so authoritative, so bold, and they're like just a bull in a little china shop, and they walk in and they realize in their mind, they're like, oh, wait a second here. This is where I'm supposed to be kind, gentle, and patient. And you see them manufacture it. And if you know the person well enough, you'll sit there and go, come on. You're just putting on a show. You're not really gentle or kind. I mean, you're always this. You're always like, rah. And then here's the other thing. You can see it when someone is more, their personality and just who they are is much more of a gentle individual, much more kind, much more that. And then they have to manufacture this authority and this directness and come on, let's go, let's get it. And you can feel like it was manufactured and it doesn't seem like it was that real. Well, it's an important thing to say that the reason we talk about this balancing act is always this. When people manufacture it, I'm not suggesting that that's a horrible thing because they may be trying to do the right thing, but it's coming from the wrong spot. When I see people who speak with authority, it's because they're doing it with a much better intention. So I always am interested is that when I'm looking at someone, talking with someone, conversing with someone, I'm really interested in what is their intention? What are they really trying to do? Again, why are they here? Why are you here? I'm not talking just the company. I'm talking about when you show up with a buyer, when you show up with a seller. What is your intention? Now we know that what we'll say is like, well, I'm supposed to do nice things. But really at its core, is it something you're manufacturing, boldness and authority, or manufacturing, going, okay, hold on a second here. All right, I got to be patient, I got to be kind, I got to manufacture that. And certainly manufacturing it is better than not doing it. But if you really want to be dynamic in this, it's this answer. And that is we have to be what our client, let's put client, or customer, right? Client needs us to be. And that might seem like a simple statement, but the thing is that when you are clear on what you need to be, but then backed up with number 2, and that is the only way you can effectively lead anybody, I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's our kids, a friend, a spouse, anyone, and especially obviously buyers and sellers, the only way that you're going to be able to do that is if this: know what they want. Now here's the problem. Most people never figure out what people want. And then they're so concerned about, well, what will happen if I do this? And, well, I get paid enough. And, well, what if they ask me to do this? And, well, what if they ask me to cut my commission? Or what if they ask, they're going to take me out to see tons of properties? And we start getting into these major I conversations within ourselves. And the problem is that when we don't know what they want, it is almost impossible for us to be what they need us to be. And so then you go back and you have to say, okay, well then, what really is my intention when I'm in this business? My observation is that if you want to have the ability to confront, if you want to have the ability to be gentle, you have to go all the way back first and say, what am I really intending to do? The right answer, I think any of us would acknowledge, is to help people. Zig Ziglar said it best: help enough people get what they want, and you know what? You'll get what you want. And we say that in theory, right? We say it, but in reality is that, are we really being what the client needs us to be? And do we really know what the client wants? There's a reason why we talk about the questions, such as, Alan, where are you moving to? Role play with me. Where are you moving to?
California.
California, that's great. And most people move on and say, okay, great. How soon do you have to be there? But rarely do we take the time to say, California, that's great. Tell me, what's taking you to California?
I have family out there.
Oh, family, wonderful. And then I would go to the next, and most people again would go, okay, great, you got family, you moved to California, okay, I got enough information, okay, now when do you need to be there? That dynamic of not going back and say, okay, you got family, that's great, what else is taking you there?
Job opportunity.
Oh, job, awesome. Okay, what type of job are you going to be in?
Real estate.
Oh, really? Real estate agent or real estate?
Broker.
Oh, you're a real estate broker out there. Okay, awesome. All right, great. So tell me, is there anything else that's taking you out there besides your family? Obviously, it sounds like new employment, doing a new job.
Gosh, I went blank.
That's okay. It's okay. When I say that, Alan, I'm saying that if there's nothing else, that's fine. Then I'm going to say, great. So what I understand, I'm going to summarize. So you're moving to California. You got the new job. You're going to get into real estate. You got your family out there. That's great. Summarizing, then I'm going to say, is there anything else? And you might say, no, that's kind of it. If I don't really know what they want, right, I might go to that point and then I know what I would do. I would say, what's important about getting with your family? And then I might get the thing, my parents are getting older, blah, 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 or I have a kid, or my kids live out there, maybe they're divorced, or it could be anything. But I want to know what's important about getting with your family, what's important about the new job, what's important. So I'm just going to keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper until I really, guys, look, it is impossible to effectively lead and move with the right intention if you don't know what people want. Again, most people, the scripts that we have right there, unfortunately, they'll say things like, where are you moving to? LA, that's great. How soon do you have to be there? And yet there's this whole big gap in between all that. Well, what's important about getting to LA? Well, what's important about being with your family? What happens if you don't get with your family? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Is there anything else? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Is there anything else? And all of a sudden you get down to knowing what they need, that when you have to confront them on, like, say, an appointment, or taking the listing, or putting the buyer, or having them meet with you to meet you at the next home, or whatever it may be, if you can make that happen, then great things will happen because you know what people want. The worst thing in the world is to confront someone just because you have an agenda, whether it be our children, whether it be a friend, a spouse, and we assume we know what people want. We assume we do. And we never take the time to figure out, and so then all of a sudden, we become bold, direct, kind of in your face. And all of a sudden, it backfires ruthlessly because you never really figured out what they want. And then the opposite is you're almost, dead, if you would say, to them, because you're so sympathetic or patient, gentle, kind, laid back, easygoing, don't want to interfere, don't want to push them over the edge, don't want to be salesman-y. And you're all that because, again, you never figured out what they want. So my observation is the great challenge that each one of us has in this business is we have to figure out what people want. Really ask yourself if you have figured out what your clients want. How many have an appointment in like the next 24 hours with someone? Anybody? All right. If you've done pre-qualifications and different things like that, you should at some level already know what they want. Right? We'll go through, I can pull out the scripts on the pre-qual and you'll go through all these questions, but then in the end you really don't know what they want. The only way that, whether we use any presentation, but let's just say we use like the Mike Ferry 1-minute presentation. It will backfire ruthlessly on you if you don't know what they want. But if you know what they want, and your intentions are to help them get what they want, then you will just simply be who you need to be, gentle or kind, or bold and direct, and you will weave back and forth, just like the great leaders that we know in life. Just like the Ronald Reagan who said, what did he stand on the other side of the wall saying to Gorbachev? What did he say?
Tear down this wall.
Tear down this wall. What did he call communism? What did he call it?
Evil empire.
The evil empire. So he would be bold, 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 and then he'd come back over and people will talk about how warm he was, how endearing he was, how he could capture you immediately with his presence and his connection. And so he would weave back and forth. Tear down this wall. You know what's interesting is look at how good of friends Gorbachev and Reagan became in that process. Because he was bold, but he was patient. He was direct, the evil empire, but he was kind. And if you don't figure this out, you'll never reach the heights of leadership that you need to have. But it starts with the right intention. It starts with knowing, why am I here? It's where the Jim Rohn used to say, I used to come out to the audience and go, here I am. And he realized, wait, that's the wrong intention. To where he came out in his later years realizing, wait a second, here you are. And it's just a whole different messaging inside of ourselves. To where you can speak and you can be so different in such a better way because of that. Jason?
I just had a question for you. What do you do with, you got somebody who's kind of doesn't know exactly what they want, they're waffling back and forth. How do you approach them? I mean, even the sellers, like you do this,
Great.
like you do
I
that.
didn't bring this up. I want to bring this. Thank you. Yeah, this is a great question. So that happened, and here's the key again to being a great presenter. Pretty simple statement, but most people, I'm telling you, this isn't how they're running through life. And I want to share a story with you, and I think I'll answer your question through this, Jason. If not, we'll build into it more, right? But let's go back. Probably the hardest times of my life, back in 2008, end of it, 9, when my whole world started to unravel financially, my whole world unraveled with my health, my whole world just unraveling. I mean, every angle of it seemed to be unraveling. And it was interesting, is that out of desperation, I mean, some of you like Jessica and Jeff and others, who else is in the room here? Jason, obviously, yeah, Jason was one of the first. You know, we're over here on 1300 East, we're in this little office condo, and I can promise you that every single solitary penny and dollar that would come into the company was critical. I mean, how it came in, how fast it came in, when it came in, if it didn't come in. I mean, it was like, man, it was really, really important. And what was interesting to me is that with that type of mindset, we become very, very committed, very selfishly committed, that the outcome, no matter what it is, has to be one way, which is, you're going to be in the company, you're going to do lots of business, and no matter what, we need you here. And what happened for me over that 2-3 year period of time from basically '09 to maybe 2012 is I figured out one thing. And that is it mattered beyond measure that an agent was productive or they joined the company. But what I had to recognize is, wait, that's all about me and them needing for me to be there. And so my intentions, I can tell you, just weaving into that, in and through that, is I realized is that it wasn't about what my client, meaning the agent, needed me to be. My intentions were, I got to get what I want, which is, these agents being productive, and these agents doing that. And it was really not the right approach. So I remember when I was, so let's now fast forward. So then when Elite Realty Group came and joined the organization, I remember sitting in the conference room on the second floor with Dave Parker. And Dave Parker came to me and he said these exact words. He said, I realize you really don't care if they come or if they stay. And I said, you're right. I actually am, and I don't like necessarily using the word I don't care, but that's what he said. And I said, I am completely indifferent. It's totally okay if they're not here. He's like, how can you say that? Like, how can you manufacture the fact that it's totally okay if it isn't okay, if they're not here? I said, because I, yes, want them here, and there's no question. But the moment I become desperate, the moment I become like, you gotta be here no matter what. Oh my gosh, if you're not here, and all of a sudden it just taints everything. Versus saying, it's okay if you're here, and it's okay if you're not here. And either way, the only question you should ask yourself, I'm going to be okay. The only question you should ask yourself, Mr. Agent, is are you going to be okay? And if you are, cool. And if not, well then we should talk and try to make this work. And so it was interesting, I don't know if you know this, but there was 63 agents in Elite. We kept 61 of them. And 2 of them, the 2 that didn't come, 1 we fired, and 1 we still are very glad they're not here. So it's been almost there was almost no loss. But now I'll tell you another story. So then we actually bought the real estate brokerage center down in Orem. And there was 40 agents.
43.
When the dust all settled, do you know how many people were left? Anybody know? Do you know? Do you remember?
That are still here?
Well, just within 9 days.
30.
No, it was 22. So how is it was so different? Let me tell you how it was so different. I made a conscious effort. I even had to apologize to Matt Barton and say, dude, sorry for leaving you hanging. I made a very conscious effort that I would not step down there and do the job of John Syatt and of Matt Barton. And I wanted to see what they would do as they work through that process. Now, they're well over 60 agents. But what they figured out is that they went in that mode of, you've got to be here. Oh my gosh, if you're not here, it's not good. And all of a sudden the intentions are all about them. And now what's kind of fun to watch is up in Centerville with 0 agents in the office as of the beginning, exactly a year ago last week. We now have over 85 agents in that location in less than 12 months. But I can tell you that it completely shifted the way that John approaches recruiting. Because he had to approach it with, it's okay if you're not here. Now the reason why I'm going into so much detail is this. How important is it that you have to have a deal happen? So Jason, to answer your question, what I came up with when I realized when I was selling real estate is I had to make this statement. It's okay if you don't work with me. For me, it's okay. And then I would say, if I'm talking to a client, you have to figure out whether that's okay. And it's a very important internal messaging for yourself.
So why can't you do that on the listing side of things?
On the what?
On the listing side of things, how we talk about you need to close and close and close them. Why can't you take that approach? Is I'm okay if you don't.
I do. Yeah, you should. That's what I'm saying. I think you should. In fact, so it goes up to these 6 things, okay? So when I realized this, Jess, when I was like, you know what, I gotta be like, and here, back up. This is very important. I told this today to an agent, and I said, have you ever noticed the agent who can, for the life of them, not do a deal? Like a deal will never, Rod, you for sure have seen this. Russ, you've seen this. right? You've seen a deal where where you see them and they're like, why are they not doing any deals? And then they go get a part-time job or maybe even a full-time job. And all of a sudden, it doesn't matter if the deal happens. And guess what happens to their production? You've seen this? Have you seen this? And all of a sudden, it just goes boom. And they're like, what happened? I didn't change anything. And the only thing they changed was it had to happen versus I'm okay with whatever happens. And it changes like on a dime. I remember when I was coaching Brian Noel when he was still had a full-time job at Three Fountains. And it was interesting. When he was in property management, had this whole other job, he himself had to go through this transition where he had lots of business come to him. And they thought, okay, I'm ready to quit. And then he quit. And then guess what? Every deal what? Had to happen. Had it. And so all of a sudden he's riding great, things are going good, he quits his job, and then all of a sudden, boom! He went into a little bit of a panic. Like, whoa, how's this all going to go? How am I going to do this? Because he had to have it. So my observation is that in agents, that if you, whether I'm a broker, whether I'm a recruiter, whether I'm going after listings, whether I'm going after buyers, you got to be, this is what I say in my head. You know what? I want the deal. I'm going to get the deal, but it's okay if I don't get the deal. For years, Dave Stocco and I, because he, you know, Dave in school, right? I mean, Dave is one intense human being, and he can get on that mode of, I must have it, I gotta get it, I gotta have it, it's going to happen, no matter what, I gotta have it, and all of a sudden he starts churning in his head that way. And so I came up, I remember I would sit with him and I'd be like, Dave, I want you to walk into the home saying this. Let's say you're the client. Alan, I want you to list with me. This is just in your own head. I want you to list with me. I'm going to get your listing. I know you're going to list with me. But it's okay if you don't. But I know I'm going to get it. But it's okay if I don't. I'm going to get the listing. I guarantee I'm going to get this listing. But it's okay if I don't. I'm going to do everything I can to get the listing. But it's okay if I don't. And you say, well, wait. I'm telling you, if you don't do that, because when I'm in front of Alan, I'll be like, I will literally do anything to get it. I will compromise my commissions. I will compromise my activity. But more importantly, you're compromising your intention. It's the one thing that the scripts never fix. So if you aren't clear, it doesn't matter whether I'm Brondi, it doesn't matter if I'm Leslie, it doesn't matter whether I'm in some of our lender guys in here, it doesn't matter whether I'm recruiting, it doesn't matter if you have the wrong intention. You know, in so many words, I said this yesterday, if you're not working from the heart, it's gonna be a constant battle. I watch some agents, they will surge forward with lots of business, and then it'll drop off. And they'll say things like, I don't know if I can repeat that again. I don't know if I can do that again. I don't know if I can make that much money again. Could I repeat that again? But think about what's happening in that. I. Can I do it? Versus, right? How many people can I help? How many people can I help get what they want? How many people will I help be, or be the person who they need to be? So, going full circle to listings, there were 6 things. This seems so simple, but I realized, and Jason, this is getting back to the question, is that there's 6 decisions essentially that every listing has to make. And what I had to figure out, Rod, is I had to figure out what are their choices? And I had to then say, am I okay with any 6 of these choices? Now, if you have 7 or 8 choices, man, make a few more choices they have. But in the end, at least you know their choices. And then you have to take a step back and go, you know what? I'm all about helping people get what they want. I want to know what they want, and I'm okay. I'm okay with the answer. And what's fascinating is that it's almost like rejection breeds obsession. When you say to a client, not out of arrogance, I'm okay if you don't work with me, it's almost like they're like, whoa, hold on. You mean they're almost more committed to you because they realize you don't have to get the deal. I remember I used to sit down from a scripting standpoint and I would say things like this. I'd say, you know, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want you to know how committed I am to getting your listing, getting it on the market, getting it sold. I want you to know how committed I am to helping you accomplish your dreams and your goals. The good news is, I want that to happen. But it's important for you to know that I've got 15 listings. I've got 8 deals under contract. I've closed 45 transactions already this year. And I don't tell you that to impress you. I tell you that so that you know that from a place of intention, from a place of doing the right thing, you can know that it's okay, whatever you decide, I just want to help you get what you want. And if I can't help you get what you want, I'm going to step aside and go for it. I'm not the guy. Do you know how empowering that is when that is done with the right, I almost want to say the right spirit, the right energy, the right intention? They're like, wait a second, it's okay if he doesn't have it. And then they drop all the resistance and they're willing to say, all right, lead me. And then I know that they have 6 questions or 6 decisions. So number 1, and then it's irrelevant the order. It is absolutely irrelevant the order. Number 1 is they just simply stay put. They just stay in the home. So I'm going to say, hey Jeff, it's all good, man. It may not make any sense at all for you to sell. I'm totally okay if you just stay put. No big deal at all. You may say, well, gosh, is that what we want? That's the whole problem. That's the whole problem. It has nothing to do with what you want. Right? And once you realize that they don't have to change anything. If I'm Leslie, if I'm Rondi, if I'm Lindsay, if I'm, sorry, I almost forgot your name. I'm George. Nice to meet you. Okay? But, I mean, or whether, the thing is that the moment that it becomes about me and what I want them to do, I'm muffed. It's going to be all screwed up. Okay, here's number 2. I used to write this down in front of the client, by the way. When I get that client that was like, couldn't make a decision, I said, well, you only got a few decisions, let's write them down. They stay put, hey, you got some equity, you can walk out of here with a little bit of money in your pocket. When I came up with this, by the way, which was only about 6, 7, maybe 8 years ago, when this just kind of changed my whole formula of how I approached listing homes. That was huge when I realized many people won't have that, but some people will, right? And today we have a market where they, but number 3, again, these are not, it does not matter the order in my opinion, is they bring money to the table, right? So I'd sit down like, look, you can stay put, it's no big deal. Hey, you got a little bit of money, let's get it sold and let's get you out if you want to do that. Or you know what, it's a tough market. But by the way, the agent I was talking to today, and I went through this little thing with her, she said, it's crazy, I just closed a home and they had to bring $30,000 to the table. Has anybody had a closing in this year that they had to bring a little bit of money to the table? And I mean, look at all of them. So I mean, that's one of their choices, right? I mean, Leslie, you're seeing it all the time. I mean, people still bringing money to the table still today? I mean, there's still people having to do that. It's one of their choices, right? Okay, number 4. Oh, people hate it agents hate it when they hear that. Because when I came up with this, I realized, what are their choices? Because you know what everyone else kept coming up with? You know what, we're just going to take it off the market. We're going to rent it. I'd be like, ah. And then when I realized this, oftentimes, Ron, I would just say, okay. Thinking, oh, well, that one's screwed. I don't have that. It's not going to happen for me. What I realized is that if I didn't ask a few more questions, that isn't even what they were wanting to do. They just didn't know what other options they had. So that's again why I started writing these things down. Now, again, I go back to, I have to be completely, in so many words, I'm just going to put this up here. I have to be okay with any answer. I got to be okay with whatever the answer is. I got to be, you know what? It's okay. Because I come back to my initial intentions. My initial intention is I'm going to get you what you want. Now, I may need to educate you. I may need to teach you something. I may need to help you understand how the rental market works, and the risks that you're taking, and where the market's going. But at the end, I'm still going to do the right thing, which is I'm going to help you get what you want. Okay, number 5 is they could short sale. But you know what, in the end, I mean, how many times have you had, I mean, some of you have been in this business now a long time, you sit there and go, they say, and you realize it's going to be a short sale, and you take a deep, gasping breath going, okay, well, okay, I I guess we're gonna do it. I mean, obviously it got easier as time went on the short sales. That's not now maybe as much as it used to be, but man, when they first started having these short sales, I mean, it was like a 1 to 2 year process. I mean, it was a long one, right? And then the last, which seems like obvious, but it's kind of fun to talk about it, is you just simply let it get foreclosed. Live in the home as long as you can before they kick you out and call it a day. You know what's interesting? I mean, in the last 7, 8 years, did anybody just say, I'm not doing anything, I don't care, I'm just letting it go? Did anybody have that happen? Not that personally, I'm talking like, did you have any clients that just said, I'm not gonna even do anything, I don't care. I'm out of here. I'm not dealing with that short sale. I'm not giving them my financials. I'm done. I'm just walking. When they kick me out, I'm gone. But the thing that I found out is that Jason, from that standpoint, once I understood that these were their decisions, and the key thing here, I'm okay with whatever the answer is. And once I became okay with the answer, what Jess brought up, I don't know, it just changed everything for me. It made it to where, you know what? If I keep my intentions, which are, I'm going to get you what you want, I know that if I help you get what you want, and if I know what you want, then I got to be who you need me to be, and then I'm totally okay with whatever answer. So if I'm Rick and I'm even trying to recruit an agent, I'm like, I got to be totally okay with the fact that, hey, maybe we're not the right fit for everybody, and we're probably not, and that's okay. He might think we are, I might still believe we are, but in the end, it's not what I want, and it's not even ultimately what I really think. It's about what do they want and what do they think. But once I know what they want, if I'm working with an agent trying to recruit them, or I'm working with a listing, or I'm working with a buyer, or I'm trying to pick up an agent to do more title, once I know what they want, it's easy to confront them. Then I will be bold. Then I will be sympathetic and patient. I will be direct. I will be gentle when it's needed. Because I'm going to come from a place of, I'm okay with whatever the outcome, I know what your decisions are, and I know that you need me to be who you need me to be for you. Does that make sense? Did I answer it? And once in my head, I almost want to say in my head, weave that together, it made my life so much easier in listing homes. Now think about this. How many times are you walking out into a home, walking out in a presentation, sitting down in there, and in your mind you say to yourself, totally okay with whatever the outcome is today? How many recruiting appointments do you sit in Recreate and say, you know what? Totally okay with the outcome. Why do you think even in Mike Ferry's script, he says, 1 of 3 things will happen? Have you ever thought about why that's said? Because the moment that you say, look, either you're going to list your home with me, either you'll decide not to list your home with me, or I'll decide not to take your listing. But this is the key point. What does he say right after that? What does he say?
Any one of the 3 is fine.
Any one of the 3 is fine. Now here's the deal. You say, well, yeah, but I don't know if that's what he really thinks. That's not relevant. What's relevant is that if you said that, and that was, in other words, the energy, the spirit of what you said to him, and you have the right intentions, legitimately, you're totally okay with whatever they choose. You're totally okay with the outcome. If you choose to make your intentions, in so many words, the right ones, you'll find that business will flow to you. And as I said to our leadership team yesterday, I said, look, in the end of all of this, what will happen is people will let you follow. They will allow you to lead them to the ends of the earth. Because you'll be one of the few agents in this scenario that ever found out what they actually really wanted to achieve. What were really the goals of their family? What did they really want to have happen? What were the challenges they were facing? What was important about them moving? Why is it that they needed to move? What if they didn't move? And in the end, you could just simply say, I am here to help you. And no matter whether I get paid or not, is not important. The critical thing here is we're going to get you what you want. And maybe one of these 6 things you'll choose to do, and in half of them I won't get paid a dime, but we're going to do the right thing, and we're going to make sure the right thing happens for you and for your family. And all I know is over the years, when I've taken that approach, whether that approach is with listings, or in other words, the buyers, or recruiting, or anyone I meet, when there isn't some ulterior motive going on. By the way, you want to know what changed my world on this? It's a quick statement. It's not really a story behind it. Don't even remember what was happening. But it was someone who was very close to me. They said this. You know, I know what you're trying to do. And I remember I kind of went, what do you mean? I know what you're trying to do. Now look what I've written up here. Here's the deal. They were actually, as I look back now over those years, I realized, holy crap, they actually did know what I was trying to do, but I never said that's what I was doing. Because I did all the things, I manufactured boldness. I manufactured, oh yeah, okay, all right, I gotta be kind and sympathetic right now, Jeff, so I'll be that person today, for a minute. But they read through all of that and they said, I know what you're trying to do. And I just remember it. So look, in the end, like all of this stuff, I don't have it all figured out. I somehow, once in a while, maybe think I'm doing some of it right. But in the end, you know, all of us are united in trying to figure out the principle, but more importantly, the harder part for any of us sitting here is living it, right? I mean, it's trying to actually implement, say, okay, I get that. I know that's what I need my life to maybe be. And I gotta make sure I make it that way. I've got to take the time, the energy, the effort to just at least just listen to that voice inside yourself as you're sitting at that appointment. I mean, you guys know them, you meet them all the time. The agents where you can tell they genuinely care versus they genuinely care about the money. Do you think it's has anyone ever taken the chance for just at least 5 minutes, 2 minutes? Has anyone spent any reasonably legitimate time with a Justin Udy? Anybody in here? Has anybody spent? Rod, you have? Anybody else in here? No one?